How's it going, Laser Bruces? I'm Sixkilla and welcome back to Abyss of the Sacrifice. It's time for us to continue Olga's route with Operation. I don't believe we've done this one before, and it is the second to last one in her route. So let's jump on in, shall we, and see how it's going to be. These seem to be getting, Olga's ones especially seem to be more dialogue and story heavy and puzzle light, which I am down for, because the puzzles are ruthless. It was a small dark room. Asuna lay in the middle of it. Her beautiful face was pale and her eyes were firmly shut. A dark red stain spread across her stomach. Olga knelt by her side. As she pressed down on the area around Asuna's stomach to try and stop the blood, she seriously examined the wound. It's a gunshot wound, but it's not perforating. Based on the amount of blood, the internal organs probably have not suffered any damage. After a thorough examination, this was her conclusion. She was determinedly calm. At least that's what it looked like to Chloe, who had her arms crossed as she leaned on the wall and gazed at Asuna and Olga from afar. However, I think they haven't suffered any damage, but the inside of Olga's mind was a tumultuous storm. I'm really not sure. How do I know? What should I do? All I am is a doctor's daughter. I'm an amateur with only superficial knowledge of these kinds of things. I don't even have the medical scanner anymore. And on top of that, I'm holding Asuna's life in my hands right now. What should I do? What should I... Her heart was a swirl of uncertainty. She was unable to move forward. Just then she felt a presence behind her. She turned around to find Miki standing there. She was the last one to get to the room, but her face was still in shock. That gun still dangled weakly from her hand. It was the gun she'd used to shoot Asuna. Chloe? Olga called sharply to the girl leaning against the wall. What? When Chloe approached, Olga motioned to her to switch places. Help me, stop the blood, press here. Okay. She quickly taught Chloe how it was done, and stood up in front of Miki. For a while she just stared silently into Miki's eyes. Feeling uncomfortable, Miki averted her gaze. Miki, I need you to hand over the gun. After a few moments of silence, Olga's voice resonated strongly and firmly throughout the room. But Miki kept silent and still. Miki? Olga's voice became kinder. Then she continued softly, You must be feeling regretful. Miki's shoulders twitched. If you are, then hand it over. Come on. After a brief moment, Miki slowly raised her limp arm to the air. It was the arm that held the gun. With the barrel pointed down, she held it out to Olga. Thank you. She took the gun. After that very moment, Miki crumpled to the ground. Miki? When Olga quickly reached out to her, Miki spoke in a weak voice, facing the floor. I'm fine. She crawled over to a corner and curled up in a ball. I knew it. Olga breathed a sigh of relief. Miki's back to her usual self. She recognized the horror of what she's done, and regrets it. That's right, when she shot Asuna back there, Miki was in an extreme situation, and she couldn't think straight. Olga glanced at the gun in her hand. It had a certain weight, and although Miki had been holding it for a while, it was icy cold. It's all because of this. This gun made Miki lose herself in the moment. I'm not sure where she found it, but the fact that she did was bad luck. Things like this warp people. Holding the gun like something dirty, she carefully placed it inside her bag. I need to throw it away as soon as possible. She thought that to herself in earnest. Then she walked back to Asuna and traded places with Chloe to try and stop the blood. Chloe asked, as she got to her feet, What are you going to do with the gun? Olga answered plainly, I'm going to throw it away somewhere. That's just like you. Chloe shrugged and headed back to the wall. Verifying the amount of pressure on the wound, Olga racked her brain for what to do next. Since this isn't a perforating wound, I need to get the bullet out. It should be possible with the tools from the simple medical kit I have. But what if the internal organs are damaged? Even if they're not, will it really be possible to extract the bullet without creating any more damage? Especially for an amateur like me. A doctor's job is to attempt to save any person's life. This is what her father had told her when she was still small. She lived her entire life under that belief. It was taken for granted that she would become a doctor, and she was given a superior education, and always obliged to be her best. Compared with other girls her age, she lived a very rigid life, but she was never doubted or hated the belief it was based on. In fact, as she grew older, the belief became even stronger. Even though she feared her strict father, she also highly respected him and was proud to be his daughter. But one day he changed. Olga reminisced. I'm pretty sure it was when I heard that he was put in charge of an important project. Olga's father was always busy, but at one point he barely came home. Because of that, Olga's mother started to send Olga with messages to her father, resulting in Olga visiting the hospital often. It was during these times that she heard about something called Icon. One of those days, she went into the hospital with a package for her father. When she arrived at his office, a prior visitor had just happened to be there. It was a young man in a white lab coat. "Who's that?" Olga curiously cocked her head. She was in and out of the hospital often, on errands from her parents, so she knew most of the people who worked with her father. But she didn't recognize this visitor's profile. Curiosity got the best of her and she stood silently at her father's office door. Just then she heard a muffled voice. "How's the project going?" That's Father's voice. "Everything's going according to plan. The subject will attain the icon at the next level." Icon? This word she'd never heard at the hospital before filled Olga with unease. Although she was still a student, being at the top school gave her a good grasp of the medical knowledge. Icon, we heard about that when we were doing Miki's ending at the very end. That isn't medical language, it's some kind of code. I see. When will the next level be reached? We're hoping for tomorrow morning, but it all depends on the stability of the brainwaves. This subject is one of a kind. Make sure to cause no harm. Olga furrowed her brow. One of a kind? She had a bad feeling about this. Her ears perked up as her father started speaking again. We need to speed up the experiment. The Administration Bureau is putting pressure on us. They want results soon. The Administration Bureau? Yeah. But sir, if we speed up the process any further... I know, the child's body will not last. Child? It's obviously Jika. This time a cold sweat trickled down her back. The subject is a person? A child even? Olga put her hand to her racing heart. After hearing a vague conversation like this, she was oblivious to the details. But she understood one thing. My father is doing something terrible. It's probably some kind of illegal experiment on humans. I need to get proof. I should listen some more. Yet her body took an unconscious step back. I don't want to hear anymore. I don't want to know anymore. She spun around and ran away from her father's office as quickly as possible. Her father was so strict that he rarely showed any kindness towards his daughter, but Olga believed in his ability as a doctor. In fact, it was no exaggeration to say she worshipped him as a role model, and yet he's carrying out experiments on humans? She wanted to believe it wasn't true. At the same time, she knew deep down that she couldn't eliminate the possibility completely. She knew another side of her father. Status, reputation, power. Father is the kind of person who places a lot of weight on these kinds of things. He mentioned the Administration Bureau in the conversation I just heard. If he received an order from the central hub of Foundation's government, I'm sure he would accept, even if it involved straying from the path of a moral doctor. As Olga sped down the hallway, she knew she couldn't forgive him. He wouldn't get away with this. Father must always be my role model. I look up to him as a doctor, and he's not allowed to break my expectations. A doctor's job is to attempt to save any person's life. This sentence echoed in Olga's heart as strong and as vibrant as ever. She reaffirmed her belief in these words. Right in front of me is a life that will perish if I don't save it. So I will. Father turned his back on his own words and strayed from this path. I'm different. I would never shun my duties as a doctor. I want to prove to Father that I will become a model doctor one day. The first step is saving this girl, no matter what. Olga quietly ignited her inner fighting spirit as she gazed down at Asuna. Then Chloe called out to her. What's the plan? Olga answered without raising her head. I'm going to remove the bullet. You are? Can you even do that? I'll make sure I succeed. Chloe scoffed. Okay. Olga ignored Chloe and opened up her simple medical kit. The sound of plastic and metal instruments jumbling together echoed out in the room. I can do this. I will make this succeed. The scalpel she pulled out sparkled in the light. Then suddenly... another blackout? The only light went out and cloaked the room in complete darkness. Miki's voice called out from the doorway. All of the hallway lights are out too. It's pitch dark. That means the whole block's power supply is down. Chloe turned back to Olga. What should we do, Olga? This is an old block. It could just be a temporary fuse shortage or... Olga answered before she could finish. Chloe, can you aim a flashlight at my hands? Don't tell me you're going to conduct surgery under these conditions. I have no choice. Any longer and I might not be able to save her. I have to do what I can right now. But it's still pretty dark with the flashlight alone. I doubt the battery will last very long either. How long will the operation take? Olga hesitated. I don't know. Then that's all the more reason not to do this. If you open up her stomach and then the battery fails, Asuna will die. If we don't, she'll die anyway. Olga was at a loss for words. Wait. Suddenly Miki's voice echoed in the room. Before we came underground, I saw a sign for a power plant. Really? Chloe's tone was unexpectedly animated. We might be able to fiddle with the power supply there. Where'd you see it, Miki? I'll head there now. Just as Chloe started to leave the room, Miki held out an arm to stop her. What's the big idea? I'll go. Mickey's tone was resolute. I have to do this. Let me go. I dare you can restart it on your own. But... Mickey firmly grasped onto Chloe's arm. When she showed no sign of backing down, Chloe sighed. Okay, let's go together. Lead the way. It might require physical labor anyway. Great. The two girls left the room with Arsena in it behind. Soon they found themselves in a control room, connected to the power plant. Chloe's fingers flew quickly across the dashboard, but a troubled look crossed her face. She angrily clicked her tongue. It looks like this dashboard alone won't change a thing. It's not working? Chloe spun around and raised both hands in the air. This place's link to the power has been physically damaged. It's completely cut off. It's impossible to make any subtle adjustments to the power supply control from here. Now, is there anything else we can do? Not from here. Chloe sighed and continued. There should be valves inside the power plant that can be adjusted manually. But going there isn't realistic. Why not? I'll do it. I'll go in. Mickey frantically looked up at Chloe with a face full of energy. Don't be stupid. It's hundreds of degrees in there. Unless we shut down the plant and cool it down first, it's impossible for a human to enter. Shut it down then. Although Mickey leaned in desperately, Chloe weakly shook her head. That's impossible. The temperatures are so high right now, it would take 1 to 2 days for it to cool down. 1 to 2 days? Wouldn't it that long? That's right, Arsena won't last. Either way, we have no choice but to give up on going inside. The two girls were silent. Even after coming all this way, they'd reached a dead end. Mickey bit her lip. Then all of a sudden her gaze landed on something that made her gasp. What is it? Mickey's wide eyes were focused on a spot, past Chloe on one of the room's walls. Look, this place has fire-resistant clothes. What? Chloe turned toward what had caused Mickey's attention. Sure enough, a closet on the wall was labelled flame-resistant clothing. A single jumpsuit was hanging there. If I wear these, you could enter the power plant. Mickey raced toward the closet. Mickey, can you hear me? Chloe's voice was audible through the flame-resistant helmet's speakers. Loud and clear. Everything seems fine. Great, now head inside. There should be a control panel there. Roger that. Mickey walked into the power plant, following Chloe's command from the control room. She headed toward a set of valves. There was only one flame-resistant jumpsuit. Mickey put it on without a discussion, thereby volunteering to take on the dangerous mission. I mean, she's the one who shot her, right? As she opened the hatch and was about to leave, Chloe called out to her, Mickey, the tower is extremely hot. Even with that suit, you won't last more than 10 minutes. Come back if it gets too tough. Okay. With that, Mickey entered the plant. It's hot. She proceeded deeper inside, step by step. From the very beginning, she could feel the intense heat through the flame-resistant suit. Sweat poured relentlessly from her body, and the suit grew so hot that it felt like it could catch fire at any second. Do you think you can make it? Come back if it's too tough. Chloe anxiously repeated what she'd said before. It's fine, I'm already pretty far inside. Okay. Look for the valves then. They should be somewhere around there. Valves. Sweat dripped into her eyes as she looked around. Here they are. There's a lot of them. They have lights on them. Are these the right ones? Yes, that's them. Now, is there a valve with a red light? If you turn it, it should change blue. A valve with a red light. All of the valves in front of her had red lights. Chloe, all of the valves are red. Should I turn them all until they change blue? What, they're all red? Chloe was clearly surprised. She frantically shouted into the microphone. Forget it, Mickey, come back. Why? I just need to make them all blue, right? It'll take too much time. You won't make it. Abort the mission and come back. What's Chloe talking about? Mickey smiled in the heat. My job is easy. All I have to do is turn all the red valves blue. I'm the only one who can do this, and the valves are right in front of me now. I can't get back empty-handed. She reached for the first valve. We can look around. So we should probably do that. And there's a valve on the floor, which I saw at the start. I assume that's important. Looks like a pipe, but it's buried in the dirt and can't be pulled out. Yeah, these puzzle rooms that we've had with Olga recently have been a lot easier, haven't they? I mean, the valve thing might be difficult, I don't know. It probably will be. It probably won't be as simple as just switching, turning them. You know? Pipe looks like it goes there. Good. And the valve looks like it goes on the hole. Now we just need to turn them. Set to 20. Set to 40. It's not changing. Oh, I guess we need to change. That's not changing anything. Oh, it's the numbers here. 750 is written on the plate. 500. 500. What does that mean? So this is 500. That needs to go to this light, right? 750 needs to go to what, this one? No, this one. I don't know. I'm not too sure what that means. Set to 40%. What if we just max them out? Oh. We should go half and half, so it goes half this way, half that way, right? This one's like 100? Well, I mean, how much is coming through, you know? I don't know. That went blue. And then it went red again. It's too much? Alright, just 3 more. Okay, okay. 4060. Dude, called it. Oh, we just need this one. So this should already be top 0, right? Yeah, that's fine. All lights are blue. I did it, Chloe. All of the valves are blue. Mickey announced quietly. But it wasn't clear if Chloe heard her. Just a few minutes ago, she'd heard Chloe screaming for her to come back. After ignoring her for a while, she now could only hear white noise. Suddenly, there was an ominous sound. A crack appeared in her helmet. Then orange flames slowly formed around her. What's going on? Am I on fire? I'm impressed. An old friend gave me a half grin. Even though she rarely smiled. You had them after all. Had what? Wings. I was ecstatic. She finally acknowledged me. You can fly. That's right, I can fly. I could fly from the very beginning. Look, Chloe. Light streamed out from the room where Arsena and Olga were. Small metallic sounds and rustling movements could also be heard. Chloe walked through the doorway with heavy steps. Olga was by Arsena's side, wielding her medical tools with intense concentration. When she heard Chloe come near, she spoke to her without looking up. Welcome back. The lights really helped. Sure. Chloe returned to the same wall as earlier and crossed her arms. How's Arsena doing? Olga was silent for a few seconds before finally responding. I started the operation as soon as the lights came back on, but it's too soon to tell. Chloe could tell the calmness in her voice was feigned. Her words faintly trembled at the end of her sentence as she began to cave from the pressure. But she kept working diligently, with her head bowed. Oh. Both girls fell silent. Any sound in the room was the metallic clanking of the medical tools. It was terribly deafening. A few hours passed. No, it can't be. Olga's sudden outcry made Chloe look up. Then they both saw it. Asta had been lying still all this time, while Olga dug her scalpel into her stomach, but suddenly her body jerked. Small spasms continued a few times, and then she was still. Arsena? Olga leaned over Arsena's body and put her hands over Arsena's heart. Then she rhythmically began applying pressure. Arsena! Arsena, come back to us! She frantically performed chest compressions while shouting Arsena's name. But gradually, Olga's movements became weak and helpless. Then they finally stopped. She slowly lifted her head. Chloe could read the look in her eyes. It was despair. Arsena had breathed her last breath. Olga? Chloe started to reach out to her, but then she stopped. What am I supposed to say to her right now? Words of condolence or appreciation? After a few seconds, Chloe dropped her hand to her side. She didn't know what to say. A silence fell over the girls as they both hesitated over their words. But then, it's not over, I can still save her. Olga suddenly raised her voice. She quickly took up the scalpel. Olga? But Olga ignored Chloe and refused to stop. It's not over, if I could just extract the bullet. She continued with the operation as if possessed. Cut it out. But if the operation succeeds, it won't succeed. But Arsena's already dead. Olga jumped. Her bloody hand holding the scalpel froze. People can't come back from the dead. Arsena's gone, and so is Miki. Miki? The possessed look on Olga's face instantly vanished. Fear and confusion appeared in its place. What happened to Miki? She's dead. Olga's eyes visibly widened. You and I are on our own. No. A hush fell over the remaining two girls. It was a heavy, bottomless, and seemingly endless silence. to be concluded. And indeed it is, because the next one is the last episode for Olga's chapter. That was a short episode, but I don't want to jump into the next one because it's probably going to be very long, since it's the finale. So the next, we're going to wrap this up as a short one. The next one we're going to jump into is Seal, obviously there. That is the last one for Olga's route, and then we will start Chloe's route. But yeah, until then, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, thanks for sticking out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.